sex when you're pregnant.
For some women, they feel much more sensuous.
On the next Jenny Jones.
Monday at 3 on Channel 5.
On the next Chuck Woolery show, Alan Rachin on his role as a leading lady.
I did get to a point when they put certain dresses on me, I was saying, so this isn't me. It doesn't have a good line on it. I don't like the waist.
Join Linda Ellerby on the next Chuck Woolery show.
Monday at 10 on Channel 5.
Tonight, Neil Patrick Harris, Terry Garr, his memory was wiped away.
Amnesia.
She had to teach him all over again.
My mother, my father. Your family.
Dr. Doogie Howser becomes patient.
Everybody's always mad at me.
In the uplifting story of a mother whose love was put to the ultimate test.
I don't know you very well, but I know that I love you.
A stranger in the family.
Channel 5's Pam Dale, keeping you in touch.
ABC News, World News Sunday. Here's Forrest Sawyer.
Good evening. It has been another day of cautious diplomatic maneuvering in the Middle East, preparing for the Madrid peace talks which began on Wednesday. Each of the parties is working to make sure nothing gets in the way. For the United States, that means playing the role of matchmaker, getting the Arabs and Israelis together, and then hoping the chemistry works. As ABC's Ann Compton reports, that is no easy job.
The hours before the Madrid peace conference are delicate ones for President Bush, who does not want anything to derail the peace process. That includes this morning's Washington Post headline, which reported President Bush decided not to punish Israel for illegally shipping missile parts to South Africa's Arms Corps Corporation for fear it would undermine Israel at the talks. Secretary of State Baker, appearing on This Week with David Brinkley, insisted the U.S. is not letting anyone off the hook, but he would say no more.
Because to do so would get me into making comments with respect to classified information that I'm simply not willing to do. Let me assure you that we are following the law very, very specifically in this matter.
Baker took 8 months on 8 trips to bring Israel and all the Arab parties to the table for the first time ever. And that, he suggested, was the easy part.
There are going to be glitches. There are going to be a lot of hitches here. And we should not go into this conference thinking that this 2.5 to 3 days is going to produce peace in the Middle East.
After the drama of Wednesday's opening moments in Spain's royal palace, under incredible security, the U.S. hopes to retreat to a sidelines role. There will be no U.S. peace plan, and President Bush intends his role to be a limited one. He and co-host Mikhail Gorbachev will welcome all parties in the first hour of the ceremonies. Then President Bush heads to the airport. Only if the parties hit a snag and ask for U.S. help will he appoint a U.S. diplomat with ambassador's rank to sit down at the table. Ann Compton, ABC News, the White House.
Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Shamir was busy today trying to smooth over differences inside his own government before traveling to Madrid. Despite internal squabbling and the growing possibility of violence inside Israel, Shamir's government is sounding hopeful about the outcome. ABC's Dean Reynolds is in Tel Aviv.
On the West Bank today, Palestinians demonstrated in favor of this week's peace conference. But political demonstrations of any kind are illegal in the occupied territories. When the Israeli army moved against this one, violence broke out. A soldier was hit with a cinder block and critically wounded. Despite the tragically familiar incident, Israeli cabinet ministers today were expressing guarded optimism about the conference in Madrid.
I think that there is a high degree of expectation that the Madrid meeting will start up a new phase in the relations between Israel and the Arab countries.
The Israelis are still upset about Palestinian delegate Saeb Erekat statement that he is representing the PLO, an organization Israel refuses to talk to. But Defense Minister Moshe Aarons today seemed to suggest the issue would not hold up the talks, noting with approval that other Palestinians had criticized Erekat for being provocative.
And so maybe the situation can be settled to everybody's satisfaction.
And Aarons said chances were good for progress in at least one area of the talks.
The negotiations with the Jordanian-Palestinian delegation probably have the greatest promise of bringing some agreement in the immediate future.
That's because Israel and the Arabs have already agreed to talk for the time being about just a limited form of self-rule for the Palestinians, leaving the final status of the territories until later. A small step, but at least it's in a positive direction. Dean Reynolds, ABC News, Tel Aviv.
When the peace talks open, delegations from Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, and the Palestinians will meet together with the Israelis, and later they will meet separately with Israeli negotiators. ABC's Sheila McVicker reports from Amman, Jordan, that today was spent making sure the Arab teams hang together.
The Arab delegations to the Madrid conference are making last-minute preparations, trying to ensure everyone adheres to the agreement reached earlier in Damascus that there will be no separate deals. Today, the Palestinians met with Egypt's foreign minister, and Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak said he didn't think the leadership of the Israeli delegation by Prime Minister Yitzhak Shamir would be an obstacle, and called on Arabs and Israelis to be prepared to compromise.
But we expect and we hope, as far as we are looking for a comprehensive settlement, and so as peace to prevail, that we should be much more flexible to achieve success in the negotiations.
The Arab delegations have phrased their opening conference demands in the language of United Nations resolutions. Resolutions the Israelis insist they will not accept.
We hope that all the parties will participate in the negotiations, forthcoming negotiations, on the basis of Land for Peace, Resolution 242 and 338, in order to achieve a just and durable settlement based on those principles.
The joint Palestinian-Jordanian delegation leaves Amman for Madrid tomorrow. No one expects breakthroughs at the opening sessions of the conference. All agree it is likely any progress will come at the bilateral talks. This is Sheila McVicker in Amman.
One program note, this week ABC's Peter Jennings will report live from Madrid, providing complete coverage of the peace talks on ABC's World News Tonight. Still overseas, Japan, the conservative governing party there has elected a new leader, Kiichi Miyazawa, and has ensured his election as prime minister. Ironically, Miyazawa's career was nearly destroyed just 3 years ago when he was linked to an influence peddling scandal. After the party's vote, Miyazawa emphasized the need for good relations with the United States. And Poland held its first free parliamentary elections in decades today, and it does appear there is a rocky road ahead for President Lech Wałęsa and his program of economic reform. Computer projections indicate that solidarity parties have taken a narrow lead, but ex-communists and other opponents of free market reforms have captured an unexpectedly large share of the vote. And coming up, who stands to gain from the new civil rights bill compromise? And how Congress hopes to help 500,000 homeless children get an education. And later in the broadcast, why classical music's Bad Boy is bringing home the Brahms.
World News Sunday, brought to you by ITT Corporation.
After my accident, they advanced my insurance benefits and built me a ramp and got me back on my feet.
Your people really care. It meant a lot to us.
It was the global telecommunications link-up they built. Saved the negotiation.
If your doctor has recommended Metamucil and you like the results, but you don't like those glasses of thick liquid, change to FiberCon. Get the same fiber action in easy-to-swallow tablets. Get doctor-recommended FiberCon.
Have you had your V8 today? Did you know that V8 juice has less than half the calories of that apple?
Wow!
V8 is a nutritious blend of 8 vegetable juices that taste terrific. Have you had your V8 today?
There is a new twist to the BCCI bank scandal. Government investigators suspect that some of the world's most powerful drug dealers were tipped off just before federal undercover agents moved against BCCI. Quoting federal agents and bank documents, the New York Times says drug dealers were able to withdraw at least $10 million before the agents arrived. That long political battle between President Bush and Congress over civil rights legislation is expected to end soon, when the House and Senate finally pass a compromise bill. The bill promises to protect against discrimination and sexual harassment. But who really benefits? Kathleen Delaski reports.
For 2 years, Lee Gaines has been trying to find a lawyer to help him bring a race discrimination suit against his employer. But 25 lawyers have refused to represent him. Most told him he had a good case, but under current law, little chance of winning.
The courts have made it so much more difficult to prove the cases. We're having to turn them down, and people are having difficulty finding lawyers who will take their cases.
Determined to bring his case, Gaines is preparing to represent himself.
Several lawyers have said to us that that's futile.
Well, I know, of course, when David went for Goliath, that's what they said, so I'm not David, but I'm going to try.
With the new civil rights bill, Lee Gaines would be more likely to find a lawyer to help him. It would offer lawyers and their clients incentives. They could sue for damages, which would defray legal costs, and they could go before juries, who are seen as more sympathetic to discrimination claims than judges.
The people who might have found a real obstacle or no incentive to challenge discrimination in the past ought to be in a position now to find reason to come into the courts.
In the past, many, like Jenny Shamey, felt cheated by the courts. A male judge rejected her claim that a boss refused to promote her because of her sex.
My experience has been that the process really does not work and that it's very, very expensive.
Many who feel they've been victims of job discrimination feel they have no recourse under current law. The new law would not make their cases a lot cheaper or easier to win, but civil rights lawyers say they would at least get a fair hearing. Kathleen Dulaski, ABC News, Washington.
Another piece of legislation is expected to win congressional approval this week, this one over the Bush administration's objections, and it's aimed at helping hundreds of thousands of homeless children. ABC's Sheila Cast explains.
By themselves, Marquis and Marlon Archibald transfer from one city bus to another in the nation's capital to get to school. Tara Douglas's mother rushes her before dawn to the city bus for her 45-minute commute.
I just really worry when she gets off this bus and transfers to the other bus that she actually gets on that other bus.
And little Lavanya Proctor's mother sometimes can't afford the fare to school.
I was stuck with $100 for the rest of this month, and I had to buy a school.
These are homeless children. There are at least 500,000 in this country, and a quarter of them don't go to school at all. Their advocates say the homeless are the invisible children. The federal government spends just $7 million to get them to school, and the Bush administration proposed to end the program.
And all the plans that I've heard on education excellence and choice in schools, I have never heard anybody mention the plight of the homeless children.
But Congress is on the verge of tripling the allotment to $25 million. It will support projects like the one in Orange County, California.
Good. Good thinking, Billy. There you go.
William Hunter is learning computers in a mobile classroom from a teacher who comes to the park where William and his family live out of a car. Education is not a guarantee against being homeless, but not educating these children almost guarantees they will be. Sheila Cast, ABC News, Washington.
A sad ending to an ambitious project. The environmental artist Christo began dismantling 2 of his exhibitions 3 days early today because of a tragic accident. The twin exhibitions, one near Los Angeles, the other near Tokyo, featured thousands of 20-foot-high umbrellas, each weighing nearly 450 pounds. Yesterday, a freak gust of wind hit the California exhibit, and one of the umbrellas was sent flying into the air. It struck and killed a woman spectator. When we come back, the video vigilante helping to fight crime in South Dallas.
Look what's popping up, that's free. Special K waffles from Eggo. Once you see how good fat free can be, oh no, you never let go.
No way. It's all mine.
Special K waffles from Eggo.
Eggo Special K waffles. Crisp, delicious, yet every bite fat-free, cholesterol-free, and just 80 calories per waffle. See how good fat-free can be.
Oh no, you never let go. Nah. Special K waffles from Eggo.
I'm alive, Jeff Hashimoto.
I'm alive, Vonda Williamson.
I'm alive, Sonia Schofield.
I'm alive, Howard Weber.
Want to get more out of life?
I'm alive, Jessica Weber.
Get airbags. See your Allstate agent for a list of cars with airbags.
We're alive.
Seniors save 30% at choice hotels like Quality, Comfort, Clarion, and Sleep just by calling ahead.
Boy, what I won't do to save a buck.
Seniors save 30% by calling 1-800-4CHOICE to reserve a room. Rooms are limited. Call today.
I'm finally eating a hero, thanks to Super Poli-Grip with its Ultra Hold formula.
Now holds dentures ultra tight, stronger and longer than ever. Ultra Hold formula, the best grip Poli-Grip has ever made.
Alaska. Cold, clear waters. This is where it begins. Red Lobster now brings you the Alaskan Crab Rush. When snow crab is at its sweetest, juiciest. Right now, enjoy 8 great crab dinners starting at just $8.99. The Alaskan Crab Rush. Before it's over, rush to Red Lobster.
Some unpleasant new statistics today from the FBI. The total number of crimes reported during the first half of this year rose by 2%. The number of violent crimes went up 5%, fueled by more murders and drug-related incidents involving assault weapons. Fear and frustration over crime, especially drug-related crime, has, you know, gripped communities all across the country. ABC's Karen Burns reports on one man in South Dallas who decided that he could make a difference.
Stalking South Dallas can be fraught with peril.
The little plastic baggies here are from the rock cocaine. A bunch of needles laying on the ground out here.
People's homes have become crack dens, and crack dens homes.
Be you alive or be you dead there, my friend.
In the midst of it all is Skip Bailey, businessman and property owner turned video vigilante. Bailey, who tired of crime and tired of drugs, got tired of waiting. He took matters into his own hands.
You can cry and complain to agencies, and without hard proof, you don't get action. But when they see it on film or they see a picture of it, it's worth 1,000 words.
So Bailey positioned himself on his property, armed with a camcorder to capture the scene around him.
Some of them were lookouts, some of them were couriers for money or for drugs, some were drivers. There are a lot of them in here right now.
Bailey took his information to the Dallas police, where a unique alliance formed.
We'll watch him a little bit, but he may be our dealer.
Police used his property for observation.
If it's loose rocks or cracks, it's just going to look like pebbles on the ground.
And they used his knowledge and pictures to identify suspects.
56 to 51, the guy in the red shirt, he almost always handles the money. I rarely see him with the rocks, but he's had, $2,000 to $3,000 in his pocket before.
They swept in to make arrests. From his vantage point, Skip Bailey saw results.
It gives us a tremendous advantage because people expect to see a police officer in a squad car. They don't expect to be observed from inside a building.
Sergeant Jack Misak estimates that in just 1 month, the number of drug dealers in Skip Bailey's neighborhood were cut in half.
If you could see that.
But Bailey's unusual approach does raise constitutional questions.
In a situation where the video may not be presentable as evidence in court due to intrusion of privacy reasons or, constitutional reasons, it can allow you to identify a possible suspect who can be watched later on to gather your evidence.
We don't film people and spy on people in their apartments. We don't drill holes through walls, and we take pictures in public areas. We're not trying to violate anybody's civil rights, but we feel like that these people are violating ours.
Until camcorders as weapons are regulated, Skip Bailey's crusade may prompt others to become video vigilantes as well, trying somehow to assert themselves in what often seems a lawless world. Karen Burns, ABC News, Dallas.
When we return, finally, some respect for the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world.
First, we created the LS400 luxury sedan. Now we've taken everything we learned and condensed it. Introducing the new ES300. All the performance of a sports sedan, all the luxury of a Lexus.
Today, Tech-Tret Shoe Corporation announced a major retail expansion in 25 U.S. cities.
When I see a company that looks like a good investment, I check it out myself.
We make it easier to follow your own lead.
At Charles Schwab, I can get quotes, financial news, and when I make a trade, commission savings.
Always there to give you just the help you need.
Help yourself at Schwab today.
With this blindfold on, tell me what you smell.
I can't smell anything. Did you put it up there yet? It's stuffed up so far into my nose, I just can't blow it out. I just want to be able to breathe.
Would you try Dristan 12-hour nasal spray? With this blindfold on again, tell me what you smell now.
I can smell an orange, but that wasn't there that last time.
What do you feel now?
I can breathe all the way up through my nose. It cleared me up. Boom. Dristan nasal spray just works incredibly fast.
Dristan, the face of relief today.
You gotta agree. Pizza or cheeseburger?
Domino's, just what you want.
Nobody knows like Domino's.
Domino's Pizza's Bacon Cheeseburger Pizza Feast. A medium pizza piled high with ground beef, bacon, and an extra layer of cheese.
Nobody knows like Domino's.
We don't make your pizza till you make your call. So call for a Bacon Cheeseburger Pizza Feast. Now just $8.99, two for $12.99.
Nobody knows like Domino's. How you like pizza at home?
The Middle East Peace Conference. For the first time in years, Arabs and Israelis will meet. Peter Jennings will be there in Madrid on ABC's World News Tonight this week.
Sports now. Ray Gandolf is in New York to talk boxing and bring us the highlights. Ray?
Thank you, Forrest. The number of undefeated teams in the National Football League is now down to one, named Washington. The Saints of New Orleans were bedeviled today by Jim Harbaugh of the Chicago Bears, who completed just 5 passes, but this one in the final minute to Tom Waddle gave the Saints their first loss of the season. In Houston, Warren Moon threw for 3 touchdowns, this one to Drew Hill, and the Oilers handed the winless Cincinnati Bengals their 8th loss in a row. Well, the heavyweight boxing picture these days includes a challenger, Mike Tyson, accused of rape, an embezzler and a killer trying to control him, and a gambling casino and cable TV, all growling like junkyard dogs over a multi-million-dollar jackpot. That picture also includes the champion, Evander Holyfield, a very nice man.
Uh-oh.
Brad, what's the problem?
I don't like bowling because it's equal opportunity. In a situation like that, I feel that I don't have an advantage. So when I beat people, they have no reason to doubt that I'm just a better bowler.
Evander Holyfield's idea of a big night on the town is a weekly bowling outing with friends and colleagues, the closest he comes to having an entourage. Ever since he lost a match on disqualification at the '84 Olympics for hitting on the break, an outrageous decision, Holyfield has behaved with grace. Working his way up through the professional ranks, Holyfield was said to be too small, not mean enough to be a heavyweight champion.
You had to judge yourself, and which I do. I look at it and I say to myself, you know, I worked hard, and I look and say, what did I do? What did I do in that fight to win?
To remain undefeated and to gain that elusive respect, Holyfield worked on his body. Everything from weight training to ballet to high-tech gadgets to improve his punching power. And it has paid off.
In life, you realize that if you don't improve, you get left behind, you get left in the dark. And the man that is going to be the best man is the man that's going to always do a little bit more than the other guy.
Just a year ago, the other guy was heavyweight champion Buster Douglas, and Holyfield punched him out in 3 rounds to win the title and set up a meeting with Mike Tyson, the ominous former champion, scheduled for this November 8th. But Tyson tore cartilage in his ribs in training, and the fight, a $30 million payday for Holyfield, is on hold. Holyfield has scheduled a fight for late next month with one Francesco Damiani. He continues to train and toy with the notion of retirement, whether he ever meets Tyson or not. And he would get no argument from his longtime strategist, Lou Duva.
He's the boss. We work for him. I mean, it's not that we own the fighters. We work for the fighters. And if he decides to call it a day, we've had one hell of a run with a real gentleman.
If I choose to fight, then I will. If I don't, then I guess one day I have a press conference and tell people I'm not fighting anymore. Would you like to retire undefeated? That's my goal.
Tonight, Holyfield is in Minnesota rooting for his hometown Atlanta Braves in the final game of the World Series. Forrest?
All right, thank you, Ray. When we come back, striking a rebellious note.
Hello? Jill? Oh, how about dinner at our house? What's wrong? Headache. I can imagine. Oh, I've got what you need. Motrin IB. Works great on headaches. My doctor said it's the same medicine as in prescription Motrin, but in non-prescription strength. One Motrin IB works as well as 2 regular Tylenol. Here.
Oh, no.
Don't look. Just keep this. Sounds like they'll need it, too.
Motrin IB, recommended by thousands of doctors.
And your neighbor.
We built this business.
I hit the brakes. You know they're anti-lock brakes.
It was close, but we stopped in time.
Build this business.
Every year they plant new trees. Dad says they make good things from trees.
After my accident, they advanced my insurance benefits and built me a ramp and got me back on my feet.
We built this business to build your dreams.
Monday, detecting and treating anorexia and other eating disorders. Also what men expect from marriage.
Plus Baby Talk Scott Baio on Good Morning America Monday.
Do you think classical music is a little stuffy? Do you picture concerts as polite musicians playing to a sea of tuxedos and evening gowns? Well, permit us to introduce a young man who is out to change all of that. As Mike Lee reports, he's a little more attuned to the times.
Hey, look, you get away with your cameras and that.
Nigel Kennedy is the self-styled brat of classical music. He is also a superstar violinist who has rejected his white tie and tails to be a punk virtuoso.
You know, like a lot of the other musicians, when I walk on stage, they think, oh my God, what have we got here?
What they've got is a rebel with a cause.
When I'm performing classical music, it's for everybody. And I'm disappointed if less than that number get it.
And Nigel Kennedy has made it to the top of the British pop charts alongside Madonna and MC Hammer. The image seems to be working among the working classes.
Yeah, I think it's quite good, actually. It's nice to see a younger face in the world of classical music, isn't it?
I just love him. I love him. You know, he was me when I was young.
Someone who's old enough to be my mum comes up and says, hey, that's the first classical gig I've been to, and I really got a kick out of that.
Classical purists are critical.
I think it sells the music down the river if you imply that it can be taken, the Brahms violin concerto in all its length and complexity, on the same level as a 2.5-minute pop video. It just isn't the case.
A lot of classical musicians say that classical music is too good for most people to have it or understand it. And I'm saying that classical music is too good to exclude it from most people's lives.
Nigel Kennedy has stepped on a few toes in the classical music world. Yet even as critics admit, he is introducing Brahms and Vivaldi to a generation of kids who might remember the music long after they have forgotten the punk. Mike Lee, ABC News, London.
Nice boots, too. And that's World News Sunday. I'm Forrest Sawyer. For all of us here at ABC News, good night.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.
Neil Patrick Harris. He was the all-American boy.
Amnesia.
Till an accident made him an infant.
He doesn't even know where he is.
A stranger in the family, Sunday.
Living on a farm, you work up a healthy appetite, and you just get used to good, wholesome food. So for the farmers who own farmland, bringing you food that's better for you is only natural. It's what farmland's all about. Good tasting food you can feel good about serving your family. After all, we'd never settle for less than the best for ours. From the the farmers of farmland. Better farming, better food.
The educational project is Channel 5's Weather School, and the participants are hundreds of area classrooms. The materials include classroom activities and even a computer program, and at no cost to the schools. Channel 5 is committed to encouraging science education. That's why Weather School is a daily feature on the Channel 5 News 5 o'clock report. Classroom lessons with our area classes begin on November 4th, so be watching for Weather School in session only on Channel 5.
A few breaks in the cloud cover, otherwise cloudy with temperatures in the 50s.
Life Goes On will not be seen tonight.